In today's breaking story, the New York Times has published an email written by the mother of Donald Trump's defense secretary nominee, Pete Hegseth, and it is so revealing of his despicable behavior, it just could be the nail in his aspirational coffin. There has been no shortage of outrage around Trump's nomination of Pete Hegseth for the role of defense secretary, and we knew he was gross.
I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years. Really, I don't really wash my hands ever.
Help me!
But we didn't know how gross until his mother accused him of some very appalling behavior during one of his divorces, and I'll have that scandalous letter for you in a minute. But first, a few seconds of context for the dumpster fire that is Pete Hegseth within the Donald Trump universe of dumpster fires.
On TV and in those books, Pete Hegseth has also pushed some out there ideas, even echoing the notion often repeated by Donald Trump that America is filled with enemies from within. Hegseth described the book he wrote in 2020 as the strategy we must employ in order to defeat America's internal enemies. Now, that alone should give any senator pause as they consider his confirmation, right? But it's certainly not the only thing. We know that he faced an allegation of sexual assault. That incident was described in a memo written by a friend of his accuser, which was sent to the Trump transition team and obtained by the Washington Post. Now, the memo lays out that in 2017, a 30-year-old woman identified as Jane Doe was at a hotel in Monterey, California, staying with her husband and small children as she worked as a staffer for the California Federation of Republican Women. Hegseth was there because he was the keynote speaker at an event the group was hosting that night. The memo reportedly goes on to allege that Hegseth raped the conservative staffer, Jane Doe, in his room after drinking at the hotel bar. An investigation was opened. Charges were never brought. But Hegseth did later pay Jane Doe an undisclosed sum in 2020 as part of a non-disclosure agreement. As his lawyer told the Post, Hegseth maintains that the encounter was consensual, and he made the payment because he feared any revelation of the matter would result in his termination from Fox. Hegseth's lawyer even added that Jane Doe had been the aggressor in the encounter. That's according to Hegseth's lawyer. And when Hegseth himself was asked about the allegations by reporters on Thursday, this is what he said.
Did you sexually assault a woman in Monterey, California?
I have, as far as the media is concerned, it's very simple. The matter was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared, and that's where I'm leaving.
The New York Times article at the heart of today's story begins with, Pete Hegseth's mother accuses her son of mistreating women for years. Penelope Hegseth made the accusation in an email to her son in 2018 amid his contentious divorce. So what exactly did the letter say? Here it is in all of its damning glory. Now the voice you will hear is not Hegseth's mother, but the words are 100% hers as confirmed by the Times.
Son, I have tried to keep quiet about your character and behavior, but after listening to the way you made Samantha feel today, I cannot stay silent. And as a woman and your mother, I feel I must speak out. You are an abuser of women. That is the ugly truth, and I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man, and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but it is the sad, sad truth. I am not a saint, far from it, so don't throw that in my face. But your abuse over the years to women, dishonesty, sleeping around, betrayal, debasing, belittling, needs to be called out. Sam is a good mother and a good person, under the circumstances that you created. And I know deep down you know that. For you to try to label her as unstable for your own advantage is despicable and abusive. Is there any sense of decency left in you? She did not ask for or deserve any of what has come to her by your hand. Neither did Meredith. I know you think this is one big competition and that we have taken her side. Bunk. We are on the side of good, and that is not you. Go ahead and call me self-righteous, I don't care. Don't you dare run to her and cry foul that we shared with us. That's what babies do. It's time for someone, I wish it was a strong man, to stand up to your abusive behavior and call it out, especially against women. We still love you, but we are broken by your behavior and lack of character. I don't want to write emails like this and never thought I would. If it damages our relationship further, then so be it. But at least I have said my piece. And yes, we are praying for you, and you don't deserve to know how we are praying, so skip the snarky reply. I don't want an answer to this. I don't want to debate with you. You twist and abuse everything I say anyway. But, on behalf of all the women, and I know it's many, you have abused in some way, I say, get some help and take an honest look at yourself. Mom.
It should be noted that she forwarded a copy of her email to Samantha the same night she sent it to her son, and she says there was an apologetic follow-up email to her son. But the original letter remains very revealing and damning because it captured her eyewitness account and feelings in the moment. The reason people write letters like this is to gather their thoughts as a reflective record of a moment in time and what led up to it. My guess is she regrets the leaking of the letter much more than putting her feelings in the letter. As far as Pete Hegseth, he is simply a reflection of Donald Trump. Ferdinand R. Amandi said, "The problem is not Pete Hegseth. The problem is not this verified email written by Pete Hegseth's mom in 2018 that she sent to her son, declaring him an abuser of many women. The problem is the man who nominated unfit Pete Hegseth to become Secretary of Defense." We have seen repeatedly how Trump befriends and even rewards men who are cut from a similar misogynistic and abuser cloth. And get this, several key Republicans have said that unrelated sexual assault allegation against Hegseth was not an obstacle to his nomination. Of course not, because they bend to the will of Trump. But will his own mother calling him an abuser, despicable, and someone who needs help prove to be a tipping point like we saw with Matt Gaetz? We'll see.